Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for your patience on this video. I know I advertised the fact that I was going to be doing this video ranking all 77 traps in the Saw series months ago. It's like 3 months since I initially advertised the fact whether you wanted me to do a regular ranking or a tier ranking. In the end, I decided I wanted to do a tier ranking for the reason that I attempted to do a regular ranking. I sat there for hours trying to rank these traps, watching them over and over again, and it just took too fucking long, whereas this was definitely an easier way to do it. And admittedly, I think it turned out to be a better video. This is more like a podcast video. There's nothing in particular that is special about it. I just had a mini stroke. But either way, I know this is a video a lot of you have been requesting for quite a while. And don't worry, the, How to Survive series for all the Saw traps and each movie will continue after my sister finishes watching all the Saw movies herself, because she will be ranking all the movies after she's watched Spiral as well. All we've got now is Saw 3D, Jigsaw, and Spiral to go. I've actually now got my Blu-ray for Spiral. And not only that, you know, those Saw 3D videos coming soon, after my Candyman reaction. I want to apologize for the lack of uploads over the last week and a half as well. I haven't been particularly well. Physically speaking, with my physical health, I haven't been very well. I've had a lot of issues going on, which I don't want to get into details for, but it's also affected my mental health, so I just haven't been in the mood to make or edit videos. So I thank you all so much for your patience, and all of you who are sticking around and showing your support. I love you all so much. And I do really hope all of you enjoy this video, because I know a lot of you have been looking forward to it for quite a while. I've got some ideas for some more Saw videos coming very soon as well, alongside the How to Beat videos, as well as the, the reactions to Saw and my sister's ranking. There are a few others I want to do. Don't worry, I will eventually continue and finish Saw 2 Flesh and Blood, but it's a matter of when I have the motivation to do so, because that's a very draining game mentally, because it's just not very good, not very enjoyable, and is beyond frustrating. But don't worry, it will continue eventually. I reassure you all of that. But thank you all so much for your patience. Thank you all so much for your love and support. And I really hope you all enjoyed the video. But either way, let's get into ranking all 77 traps within the Saw series. The bathroom, without a doubt, is probably the most iconic trap in the first Saw movie, aside from the reverse bear trap. Like, the bathroom was this game where it was like all these different riddles and all these different puzzles, sort of having to figure it out as they went. Dr. Gordon had to kill Adam by 6 o'clock. Adam just had to survive. It turns out that the key was in the bathtub the entire time, which we learnt later on in Saw 3. And a flashback was because of Amanda and her being very, very careless, not giving a real shit at all. But due to the whole mystery behind it, how thought-provoking it is, you can't help but love this trap, because it's a game in itself, it's a trap in itself at the same time. And need I mention that twist at the end after Dr. Gordon cuts off his own foot and everything? It's just like, I love this, because, you realize that the real Jigsaw killer himself has been behind this the entire time, and is the one sort of pulling the strings while also pretending to be dead in the middle of the bathroom. And that scene of him getting up again, realizing that he's alive, it's iconic, and every single time I rewatch this movie, it still surprises me. So for that reason, without a doubt, the bathroom is at least getting an A. My only real issue with the bathroom has always been the fact that Adam with the key, it was kind of unfair. Going on from that, we've got the razor wire trap. Again, very cool trap. You have to make their way through the maze before it hits a certain time, otherwise the door shuts forever. And he is left to die and everything. I don't think that this trap is warranted though. I don't think that this is deserved, because he's self-harming. He's a guy who seriously needs some help and everything, and whether that's for attention or because he really wanted to end his life, that doesn't matter. Me being someone who's been in that situation before, if I ended up in this, I'd be like, okay, Jigsaw doesn't fucking understand my situation. And unfortunately, there are some mental things, so just for personal reasons and also moralistically, he doesn't deserve to be in there, in my opinion. Yes, he needs to learn to appreciate his life, but in a different reason, with maybe some psychology and counseling and everything. So for this, although it's iconic and it's from the first film, I'm going to give the razor wire a C. Going on from that, we got the flammable jelly. I've never understood why he's in this trap either, because he was skipping work and pretending to be sick. It's never properly explained in the movie, and I know it's a little bit better explained in the Saw wiki, but I'm going via the information we have in the movie during its scene at hand, via the tape and everything. It's not enough, and, I think that it's cool, the flammable jelly, the candle, the combination's incredibly hard to solve, but is in fact possible. The glass on the ground and everything making it that little bit harder. At the same time, I think it's a pretty cool trap. I don't understand why a lot of people hate this trap. It's definitely not a great trap, but it's a decent one at that, so I'm going to give it a B. Next up, we've got the reverse bear trap, Amanda Young's test in Saw 1, and this is also going to be included with Saw 3D's test for Jill Tuck, because it's the original reverse bear trap. This needs no explanation. There's a reason why it's iconic. There's a reason why it's usually the poster art. It's easily, without a doubt, the best trap in the entire series when it comes to Saw, in my opinion at least. I fucking love the reverse BearTrap, and it's self-explanatory. I don't think I need to explain myself, but that gets an S rank without a doubt. Coming in next is going to be the drill chair. Jigsaw really went against his morals here and basically just decided to execute Jeff. Yes, his name is Jeff, who also made an appearance and Saw the video game. God, what a piece of shit, but an enjoyable one. I cannot say the same about its sequel, which I still don't have the motivation to complete for you guys. I will one day, just not now. I don't want to keep putting myself through it if I'm not enjoying it. It's just a mentally draining experience. But, man, the drill experiment, and it seemed like he was just going to kill him anyway. I've got to be honest, guys. I've got to give the drill tear an F. Next up, we have the shotgun tripwire. Shotgun tripwire, while annoying as shit in the video game, is actually really cool because it shows how Jigsaw is always one step ahead of the police and those coming after him who are trying to catch him and everything. And I think it's a really cool thing. It eventually leads to the death of Detective Singh, David Tapp's partner. And for that, not only did it give us a great fucking kill, it also, once again, showed how smart Jigsaw is, and that he is very unpredictable. I don't think it's necessarily a trap, it's more or less a death sentence, but at the same time it's to stop people from finding him so he can still test further subjects. So while it's cool, it goes against Jigsaw's morals, but at the same time, it shows how smart Jigsaw is, and for that reason alone, I'm at least going to give the shotgun tripwire a C. Now, this little image down here, I know it's Diane and Allison, but at the same time, this is meant to actually represent Zepp Hindle's test. Zepp Hindle, why he was tested, I actually don't quite remember. But at the same time, his test is actually pretty cool. Although he could literally just go to the cops or whatever, he could just be like to Diane and Allison, hey, I'm having to do this, but just play along. I'm actually not going to kill you. I want to help your husband. And so on and so on. I don't really like this. I love the first Saw movie. It's still my favorite. And although I like all of these in their own right, I'm judging them genuinely as I would with any other trap. And Zepp's test is kind of confusing. There are a lot of holes in it. Although it's a cool concept, and I think that the whole drugging him, he needs the antidote, therefore he needs to play it out and everything. There are ways around it that if you want to see how I got around it and everything, and different ways to sort of avoid it, becoming a murderer, go check out my video explaining how to survive every trap in Saw. So, with this, you know, once again, some cool stuff in there, the terror aspect with Allison and Diane, and it really helps you care about Dr. Gordon. The trap itself, you know, the game, it's fine. Once again, I'm going to put that at a C. Now we have the Venus flytrap. Probably my favorite trap out of Saw 2 in my opinion, aside from the needle pit, which the needle pit we'll talk about in just a moment. The Venus flytrap, look, this trap, I know the guy tried to stab his own eye out or cut out his eye, but he could just do the stitches. But at the same time, it's basically a re-representation of the reverse BearTrap while having a more psychological element to it once again with this little Venus flytrap sort of death mask that will close on him. You know, putting some nails into his face and everything. Look, I just think this is such an incredible trap. Visually and aesthetically, it's great. I think the terror aspect is phenomenal. And the fact that the key to the device is literally within his grasp, right behind his eye, but he has to, like, sacrifice something to get it out. It still follows Jigsaw's morals of wanting to give him a chance. And I think overall, as a trap, it's really, really fucking cool. So for that, I'm actually going to put it at an A. Next up, we have the BearTrap staircase, the electrical staircase. I fucking hate this thing. It's once again a death sentence, but at the same time, like, I think it does have a cool element to it. But this one, you know, I can forgive the shotgun tripwire for the reason of it shows how, you know, far ahead he is. Same thing with this. But at the same time, with the tripwire, I also give it props because there is a way to actually survive it, where once you're in the cage, I don't think there is a way to survive it. You either end up without legs from your shins being completely shattered or being electrocuted to death. Not really giving them a chance. So it's basically just an execution. For that, I'm going to put it down at a D. Next up, we have the nerve gas house. This test is fucking amazing. The whole thing about the number behind the eye, that is right, what is it? Just over the rainbow, the combinations in, you know, the order of the color of the rainbow and everything. What a fantastic idea, and the combination is there. Many people have speculated what the actual combination is, but unfortunately, because we never see one or two of the colors, and we don't know exactly what Addison's color is, due to the look of it. We can't exactly, decipher what the actual code is, but at the same time, such a cool test. The nerve gas itself, it's a race against the fucking clock, and it sort of desensitizes them after a while. They're not thinking straight, and that makes sense. And it just adds more stakes to the situation and the game at hand. So for that, in all honesty, I am going to put the nerve gas house itself up there at an A. Now, I don't like the Magnum eye hole. I think it's really dumb. Although I think it's a cool kill for, what's his name? Augustin? Gus? I'm just going to call him Gus. I at least know his name is Gus. It's just a matter of being dumb. Addison looked through the keyhole earlier, saw that there was a fucking gun barrel, but said nothing. She would have fucking seen it. When she couldn't see anything, she would have been like, hey, la 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 la. And when it says don't use it, the key, why not look at where anything could come out of and stand away from the keyhole like Xavier then ended up doing later anyway? Wouldn't you think they'd do that immediately? Maybe not because of the nerve gas, I can kind of forgive that. But at the same time, Xavier's the one using the key and he's looking through the fucking eye hole. It's kind of dumb, and it's also circumstantial of being like, okay, Jigsaw, you're a fucking prophet. You're a fucking prophet. Shut up. It's so dumb, which is a major issue we'll talk about down here later on with Jigsaw traps, the traps from the movie Jigsaw. But for that, I think it's a cool kill. I think it's a cool trap, just a little bit circumstantial. So I'm at least going to put it at a C. Now we have the furnace, which is R.B. Tate's test, where he has to grab the antidotes and the syringes. And look, I fucking love this trap. It is so psychological. Being burned to death, yeah, it's painful and it would burn away his nerve endings where he wouldn't be able to feel anything after a while. But also like breathing in the smoke, not being able to breathe properly. Couldn't imagine how painful that would be. I think that this is a great trap on the level of the horror aspect, the tension, the atmosphere, the suspense, the race against the clock once again, that desperation that every single character is feeling. I honestly think that the furnace is one of the best traps in the entire series, and I firmly and strongly believe that it deserves its spot up at A. The needle pit. I'm not a guy who's desensitized. I'm desensitized to needles. They don't really worry me. But the needle pit is one that does occasionally get to me. The whole psychological aspect of Xavier, one being an absolute prick and throwing in Amanda when it wasn't even her test. And then, her having to sweep through, the adrenaline rush, her going through so fast, and it's just that little sort of thing. I think it works so well. It's terrifying. I can't imagine having a phobia of needles and having to watch this scene. So for that alone, it playing towards phobias, it once again playing really well into the horror aspects, just like the furnace. I'm going to put, the needle pit, once again, up at an A. Next up, we have the razor box. I actually really like this trap for one reason. If you look very carefully at the frame, this is what I mean by the nerve gas house. It's like the characters are no longer able to think properly because it's kind of fucking up their brain a little. And with that, this is proven in this trap, which I think is really cool, especially with how late Addison comes to the table to do her test. She reaches up, and she's really dumb about it. She puts both hands in rather than like doing this, or, she can't grab the needle and it's already out, but she puts another one in anyway. But you can actually see a key inside of a lock at the top of the box later on, at the very top of the screen, showing if she just walked a little bit further, she would have been able to open up the box and she would be free to fucking go pretty much. It really shows what the nerve gas house is doing and how it's affecting the people in this test. Although it does have some issues and everything with like Addison putting her hand in, and it basically seems impossible unless you open the box to grab the antidote and the syringe. I still think this is a really cool trap. I think most of the traps, if not all the traps in Saw 2 are really, really solid. It's just the Magnum eye hole and the electrical staircase that don't work for me. So for that, I'm going to at least put the razor box at a B. Next up, we have Detective Matthews' test, where it's just a major game of him talking to Jigsaw, sort of the psychological thing, and that's what I love about Jigsaw as a character. He psychologically tests his, his victims, and he gets in their heads even though he's giving them the instructions and basically informing them of how to survive. And he really does this with Detective Eric Matthews here, played brilliantly by Donnie Wahlberg, which, if you guys don't know, is Mark Wahlberg's brother. And I think it's great. I think him going to, the house at the end to lure Matthews away and everything to prove that he failed his test is a brilliant idea, leading to a really cringeworthy moment at the beginning of Saw 3, where he breaks his own foot and snaps it completely to take it out of the shackles, even though he's basically left there for dead. Really, really awesome. And I am going to once again put it up there at a B. I think it's really strong. I think it works really, really well on the psychological aspect. The sort of like mind game sort of aspect behind it is something that is really impressive to me. And why I think Detective Matthews' game works so well. Next up, we have the classroom trap with Troy. This one, fuck off. That's going to a D. It's the whole impossible aspect behind it that kind of pisses me off. Look, even if he got all of them out, the jaw, like, I understand that I talked about it in my Saw 3 video on how to survive, but at the same time, it's very unlikely that he would survive either way. It's a matter of chance and circumstances and just playing your cards right. But that one through the jaw, fuck off. He wouldn't have survived anyway. So for that, the impossibility aspect behind it, that's going down at a D. And I'm going to do the exact same for the angel trap. Hear me out. Hear me out. I know a lot of people really, really love the angel trap, but it is impossible for these characters to survive. Actually, no, I'm going to change that. I'm going to at least put... fuck. Where would I put the angel trap? It doesn't deserve to be down at a D because the visual aspect and the pain and, you know, Detective Carey's will to live. I'm going to put it as C. I'm going to put it as C because the impossibility aspect behind it is grades lowered completely. And it's just dumb. It's dumb. I understand it's an arc for Amanda, but it doesn't work because the best thing about the traps is that everyone is given a chance, which I know in the latest Saw movies, like Saw 6, for example, you know, that's a big problem, but I'll talk about that when I come to it. I'll talk about that. I think it's really cool, the design of it all. There is an impossibility aspect behind it. There are ways to hide in the chances, but unfortunately, with Amanda being right there behind the scenes and everything that's going to walk into the room, you're just going to get shot anyway or killed. Especially with you having something in your ribcage, you're basically going to be rendered immobile. Yeah, so I'm just going to put it as C. Yeah. The shotgun collar. I have a very big feeling that this one's also impossible, but that's not confirmed. I don't think the key really does anything. I know that there's something in the director's cut about the key. Don't watch the director's cut. Saw 3 fucking sucks in my opinion. It's so long and boring. It's one of the only Saw movies I rarely rewatch. It's only when I'm marathoning Saw that I'll really watch Saw 3. I think it's so boring. It's very uneventful, and Jeff is a fucking nightmare. But the shotgun collar is a really cool design. I think, like the reverse BearTrap, it has so many things done right about it, but at the same time with how temperamental it is, the design of it, because of it being Amanda and everything, just a simple fucking knock could set it off, and I'm like, alright, so you're basically sentencing her to her death anyway. But the whole aspect of it being connected to John and his heart rate adds an entire level of tension to this film that I think is great. For that, the relationship between Lynn and John is built brilliantly. Just by the fact that she has to save his life, the conversations, and she's trying to keep him alive because of the shotgun collar adds a really cool, tense aspect to this trap that I actually really love about it. I don't know if it's impossible, but the temperamental thing about it kind of takes some things off for me because Jigsaw's kind of a perfectionist. And I understand Amanda's like a, you know, disciple or whatever, but still, you know, I'm at least going to put the shotgun collar at a B. I'm at least going to give it a B. It's a really cool trap. I think as a device and a contraption, it's really, really cool, especially with what it does for the film itself, which I don't think is too high quality at all on its own. Next up, Jeff's test. Fuck off. Not even going to explain why. I'm going to put you at a D. I'm going to put you at a D, Jeff. I'm going to be nice to you. The freezer room. What an awesome fucking trap. If only Jeff was a little bit faster, but as a trap, this is a really cool aspect. I think it goes a little bit far with having to make her naked. It feels very uncomfortable to watch, and at times a little slimy and perverted, but I think that's how the movie's trying to make you feel, because it's trying to give you the sense of discomfort and grief in the way of how Jeff felt as a character. I think that's what the scene is trying to portray with her situation. And her, with the whole, like, not coming forward and everything to testify for the, you know, Jeff, with how his son was killed and everything by Timothy Young. I think this is a really, really awesome trap once again that has a very awesome psychological aspect behind it. I think the best traps in the Saw series are the ones that are psychological in nature, that really toy with, like, your emotions and, you know, the trauma aspect while witnessing it, and being frozen to death like that is horrifying. I couldn't imagine it. I'm going to put this up at a B. The pig vat. I fucking love the pig vat. I think the pig vat is a top tier trap because it's not a matter of torturing him, but drowning him in pig guts. Also having to have a sacrifice of something that's not necessarily physical, like a body part or an organ, but something emotionally resonant with the character, and that is Jeff with his son's belongings to get the key to free the judge that basically let Timothy Young off. And for that reason alone, and the pigs drowning him and how gross it feels at the same time, I'm putting the pig vat at an A. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think it is one of the most psychological and one of the best traps in the entire series. Now we go to the rack. This is self-explanatory. The rack is a top tier fucking trap at an S rank. This is heightened standards when it comes to saw traps, of the breaking bones to the whole torture aspect to the sacrifice aspect to the game of being careful while trying to save a life, overcoming your emotions and your lust for revenge, which is what Jeff needed to do. But he's too fucking slow. Yes, the judge got caught in the crossfire, but that's once again Jeff getting caught up in his emotions to finally save him and not being careful. The judge is really trying to do more than Jeff in this case, but the whole psychological aspect behind it, the pain aspect behind it, the sacrifice aspect behind it, and just how visually well put together this contraption is, and the history behind how this was initially meant to be a folding table, but it didn't work right, so they, redesigned it when doing, pre-production for the film and the writing stages to make this the rack to twist the limbs rather than folding him, which we did eventually get to see and saw the video game once again with Oswald McGillicuddy, I think his name was. That fucking bullshit circuit breaker minigame. Fuck off, I hate it so much. But the rack is one of my favorite traps in the entire series, and I think you guys can all agree with me on that. Next up, Jeff's final test. He learned nothing. He learned nothing. Fuck you, Jeff. You're once again going at a D. And Amanda's test, brilliant, although broken. I'm not going to really get into details because this video is already 21 minutes long as of me recording this, and we're only at the end of Saw 3. So I'm going to put Amanda's test at least at a C. I think it's really cool, like, testing her and everything, and it's revealed later that John already knew all the details, with her basically being responsible for the death of, Gideon, with Cecil. But yeah, no, I think it's cool. I just think that it could have been a little bit clearer. It's a cool twist at the end, but yeah. Next up, the mausoleum trap. This is brilliant. I love the mausoleum. The hear no evil, see no evil aspect behind it with, what's his name? Art Blank, and whoever the other guy is who turned up in a flashback at Jill's sort of, medical sort of help facility, rehabilitation facility later on in the series. I love this. It's basically a game of working together while not being able to communicate, and in the end, it turns into a fucking bloodbath. It's visually stunning. I think Darren Lynn Bousman and the rest of the production crew and the set designers did a great job with this scene. There's really not much to it. There's nothing in regards to major props to give it like that A or S rank, and there's no real negatives to it to give it a C, D, or F. So I'm going to put the mausoleum at a B. I think it's a really cool trap. It has a good psychological aspect behind it, and it works really, really well. And they both could have survived, but unfortunately the communication can't be there, and they decide to just turn into swinging around and everything, understandably so. Next up, we have Detective Riv's test. Hey, Detective... Fuck. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna put your test at a F because it wasn't really well thought out on Jigsaw's part, nor, Detective Riggs' part. His test was so he wouldn't be doing his job to go through fucking unsecured doors and be preemptive, but to do his job. Yeah, you're not appreciating your life right. And alongside that, he's able to go into the open to his next locations. Alright, just go to a fucking phone booth or ask someone on the street, hey, can I borrow your phone? Mine's out of charge. And then call up Strum and Perez or the police precinct and be like, hey, I'm in a Jigsaw game. This is the next location. Please fucking help. And yeah, it's not well thought out on both ends, so it deserves its F. Next up, the scalping chair. Holy shit, the twisting, turning tables of if he decides to save you, now you get to kill him and everything. And the clues are there in regards to the whole, the G in regards to the end facility on the knife and everything. With Art Blank, that was, the building that was owned by Art Blank with Jean and everything. Fuck, I'm losing my words. It's so late at night. It's like 2 o'clock in the fucking morning. But I think it works really well. It's gory as shit while Downgrade, although I think it's incredible, the psychological element behind it once again, and the torture element and how painful it be is amazing. And I even talked about it in detail in my most painful traps in the Saw series video. But downgrades for this. I think that shooting through the ponytail would be a little bit better. I also think that Rig didn't listen to the tape properly and he's dumb. Not only that, can I just point out the fact that the CG blood is a major downgrade for this trap and this scene as a whole. And I also need to make mention of the, the awful transitioning scenes and everything that are so distracting, taking out the pacing for this trap, which we didn't get to settle in properly for that reason. But overall, I think it's a pretty nifty trap that has a lot going for it, but a few things weighing it down from that, B, but I am going to at least put it at a C. The bedroom trap. What a satisfying trap. I'm not even going to explain why this deserves its rank up here, but I'm going to put the bedroom trap at an A. My one reason why. Sexual predator gets what he deserves. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Now, next up, we have the spike trap in the classroom or the school or whatever with, wife whose name I don't remember and husband whose name I don't remember, abuser, and then this. Not everyone's given really a chance to survive, and it's just kind of lame. It's kind of a lame trap, I'm not gonna lie. It's really boring to witness this trap, and just kind of a lot of flashy editing, which Saw's known for, but a lot of just yelling, which once again Saw's known for, but it doesn't really help when all you're doing is pulling out the spikes and it's coming out of major arteries. How's this guy meant to survive? It's either bleed out and get left to die, or pull out the spikes and survive. But he dies anyway. Because he's gonna bleed out anyway, because it's going through major arteries. He's probably internally bleeding anyway. The spikes are just there to save time and everything, but he'd probably die anyway. Especially because he's had spikes through his major arteries. So for that, goodbye, you're at a D. Next up, the the block of ice trap. Holy shit, I love this trap. It's all reliant on Detective Rig basically just being like, hey, I'm going to take my time. And although Detective Matthews could have shot through the window, been like, oi, don't come through! You gotta wait till the clock hits 0 before we can be released. If you come through, we're gonna die! Like, he could have very well done that, but at the same time, I just love how it comes down, the practical element behind it, mixing, CG with practical. And this is the modern time in this franchise that I think mixing CG and practical gore worked really, really well, because the CG was more or less masking and rotoscoping that blended all together with like 2 different shots. One was like a blood bag that actually got crushed, and one was Donnie, Wahlberg just standing there as Eric Matthews. And it was a perfect mix of rotoscoping and masking blend with VFX with 2 different shots as well, and it worked so fucking well. And Nina mentioned the end result of the head being crushed is incredible. The whole psychological aspect behind it before you realize that Hoffman is actually the accomplice behind it the entire time is brilliant. I'm gonna put the block of ice up at an A. Perez and Strum's test. Kind of lame if I'm being honest. It's one of those things I don't really remember or recall all too much while watching this movie. It's not something that's really focused on too much. It's underdeveloped, and it kind of just ends with Perez being shot by a Billy puppet laughing at her, which is honestly more of a funny visual than anything horrifying or like shocking. In all honesty, I'm going to put that at a D. I'm sorry. Cecil's trap, the knife chair. I think this is a really cool trap, but very incomplete. This is John's first trap. I say that because Jigsaw kind of fucked the timeline. But I think it's a cool trap visually. I think as a test and him being like, push hard, and like knowing that was the first time that Jigsaw was like, live or die, make your choice. Like, it's satisfying to know that. He dies anyway, and it's a very broken trap, and it kind of fails due to impractical nature. But I think it's a really cool trap. I'm gonna put this at a B. I'm gonna put the knife chair at a B. I think it's cool enough. The spine cutters. How fucking lame. We don't even see the end result in the end. I don't even know what it's entirely meant to do. This one has always fucking confused me. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. The pendulum. It has some great gore to it, and I love the idea of a pendulum. It reminds me of the Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster at Warner Brothers Movie World here on the Gold Coast and everything, and it just seeing that cut through Seth Baxter's body. him being someone who assaulted and murdered his girlfriend, which was Hoffman's sister. It's very satisfying to see him die, but at the same time, it's just like, it's impossible, but at the same time for a personal motive. And because this was neither an Amanda or, like, this was neither an accomplice sort of disciple or Jigsaw trap, it was made by someone trying to imitate his work, I can kind of give it a little bit of leeway, as it was purely made by someone out of revenge to execute. I think this trap works really well. I think the gore aspect behind it is some of the best that the series had to provide, especially because it is all practical. Just imagine this, you being in a situation, crushing your hands to have the device released, and then realizing, oh fuck, like, this doesn't work. I'm dead, it's not opening. So for that, I'm going to at least put the pendulum at a B. Next up, we have the water cube. An accomplice of Jigsaw basically making it to execute Strahm. Strahm makes it out by, you know, chance, I'm going to say, because there's no fucking way he gave himself the tracheotomy perfectly because he knew where it was. I think it was just chance. There's really no other way to survive it unless it's like quick enough to puncture like holes with the pen, or to peel open the rubber to like let the water flow. And everyone out there saying you can reach the tubes, no you can't. You try having something over your shoulder blades and reaching up that high to where the fucking, you know, tubes are to rip them out. And not only that, those saying drink the water, you try drinking that much water without any fucking food or whatever, you're drowning your electrolytes, you're going to throw up, you're not going to have enough oxygen to breathe in either as well, because you as a human cannot separate the oxygen within the water and everything like a fish would through its fucking gills. You can't fucking drink the water like all of you in the comment section are suggesting. It's not possible. Scientifically, shut the fuck up. This is made for his execution, and I think it's out of chance. I like the idea behind it, and it's psychologically traumatizing, but I have it on my list of worst saw traps for this very reason, and I'm gonna put it at a D. I hate the cube trap. I know a lot of people love it, but I fucking hate it. Now we have the test of the Fatal 5. What a bunch of annoying bullshit assholes. I hate these guys. I like the test, learning that they had to work together by the end, but I realized on my first viewing of this movie that you... oh god. That they had to work together within the first trap. Like, they're just dumb, they don't listen to each other, don't listen to the tape properly. It's just like, hey, how about we work together? Which is something I'll talk about more when I eventually post more videos on how to survive the saw traps. Don't worry, guys, those videos are still coming. After my sister's reaction series, those videos will continue. But the test of the Fatal 5, they're annoying, they're dumb and everything, but it's a really cool aspect behind it with a cool twist that is unfortunately predictable, but I'm still going to put it at a C. I'm still going to put it at a C. Here we have the collar trap. The collar trap I think is pretty cool, but once again, them being loud, obnoxious, annoying and everything, yelling at each other, not listening, not working together, them being selfish. It shows the will to live and everything, but it shows that they're not working together for all of them to fucking survive, and that belief that someone has to die and everything is kind of there already. I don't know. I'm going to put this at a C. I think the thing that brings it down are the characters. Although it's a really cool trap to visually look at, the thing, as I said, that brings this trap down completely is the fact that the characters kind of just are dumb, and that awful CGI decapitation at the end. Yuck. Just yuck. If you can do practical, don't do fucking CGI. Like, that's a rule of horror filmmaking, in my opinion. Next up, survival of the fittest, my ass! Look, the glass jar trap, I think is really fucking awesome, and what a brilliant idea. And then turning the tables, believing that it's a survival of the fittest situation, I actually think works. But it's so obvious that all of them can fucking survive. Those pipes and those holes are so fucking big. All of them could have got on there. All of them could have fit, not just 3. So yeah, once again, I'm gonna put this at a C, and I'm actually gonna move, you know, the collar trap down there too. Same thing with the bath trap. I think the thing that really brings us down is because they had to kill someone for this to work. Technically, I'll talk about it later in my how to survive trap video. Yeah, admittedly, this trap could have worked better if it was 5 of them, because like they all had to sacrifice and sustain a shock to survive, but in the end having to kill someone kind of brings it down, because it's like showing that after one person dies, the rate of survival for everyone just goes fucking down completely, which is a big problem with the test of the Fatal 5. So with that, you know, the thing that really brings it down is the fact that people die and they're all kind of dumb, and that's their own actions. So for that, I'm going to put this at, once again, a C. Next up, we have the Pint of Sacrifice. A pint of sacrifice? 10 pints of sacrifice? Whatever you want to fucking call it. This is one of my favorite traps in the entire series because it shows that these characters are still willing to survive and work together to sacrifice 5 pints of blunt each, even though technically they would have only needed to sacrifice 2 after realizing that they all needed to work together, because Jigsaw is like, you've all been raised to do one thing one way, but I implore you to do the opposite. And it works really, really well. This sudden realization works so well for this trap. I think this is the one trap that benefits in this movie from having only 2 people and then having died throughout the film. Because the sacrifice that is made between these two works all the better because they have to work together here to sacrifice 5 pints each and have that guts and nerves to be willing to almost die. They're on the brink of death by the end and basically sacrifice their arms, crippling themselves, but still surviving by the end. And this is proven in Saw 3D at the beginning with Bobby Dagan and his promotional DVD. But yeah, this trap works really well, and it is one of my favorites of the series. I'm gonna put this, I know a lot of you might not agree with me, but I'm gonna put it in an A. Fuck it. Next up, we have the shotgun. I'm not really going to class this as a trap, but it's, you know, what this tier maker made for the tier list and everything, because I'm using someone else's, not my own. But I guess this is a trap. I guess. I don't know. It's kind of just, they have a big fucking monologue, which really brings it down. And Jigsaw pulls the trigger, and it's not really loaded, aside from 1 shell, which would have been the second trigger anyway. So, yeah, I'm just going to leave that there for now. And next up, we have the glass coffin trap, which is the closing in walls trap. A lot of you ask why this never made it onto my list of best traps in the series. The inability to survive. If Hoffman had walked in after he jumped into the coffin or whatever, or if he was thrown in the end, you know, like if he was thrown in, Hoffman would have died. If he was not thrown in or whatever, Strom died. And it's kind of just an inconsequential thing, or if Strom went in earlier, it would have been like, hey, I've got the evidence. It's Hoffman. Hoffman's the other Jigsaw killer. So it's kind of like a game of chance with this one. And it's kind of a problem for me when traps kind of do that. But I think it's a cool trap. I think visually it's amazing. And that and 13 Ghosts being the only movies to have a walls closing in sort of trap sequence be the ones that kill them works so well for this movie. And for this sequence in particular, it's gory, the practical effects are amazing, and if you know the issues on set, how this could potentially have injured someone is great. The pulley system that they set up for this trap is phenomenal in the set that they built. I think it's great. I think it's really cool. There are a lot of issues holding it down for me, but overall, I think it's fine. I think the gore aspect behind it is what makes it work most, but overall, I'm not ranking kills, I'm ranking them as traps and what they overall do. So for that, I am going to put the glass coffin at a C. Alright, continuing on to Saw 6, we have the pound of flesh trap. The big issue I have with this trap is the fact that we hadn't got it into the William Easton trap sequence yet, so therefore there isn't a reason for there to be sacrifices in regards to lives. For this, it's a little bit of a fucking issue, because someone had to die here, and you have to sacrifice a pound of flesh. It's whoever sacrifices the most flesh survives, otherwise you get these 2 screws in your skull. And although it's really cool, I love this trap. It's gory, it's violent, it's everything I want from a Saw trap, but I have a big problem with traps that don't have a mean and reason behind why someone needs to die, which is why I'm fine with Saw 6's traps regarding the William Easton test. Here, it's just blech. I think it's a really cool trap. It's painful, it's gory, it's visually pleasing, and I love the entire aspect behind it, and these people definitely deserve to fucking be in there. But overall, the whole thing of someone needing to die in such a brutal fucking fashion after sacrificing so much without any way for both of them to survive is a major issue for me, especially when there's no reason to why someone needs to die. So for this, I'm going to put this simply at a C, just because it's so gory and violent, and as a trap it works, but as a test it doesn't. But moving on, William Easton's test, I'm going to put this at a B. I think it works so well because the whole thing of teaching him that, you know, there is more to a life with the survival instinct, the will to live and everything, that some people should be granted more coverage than the 1/3 of people at Umbrella. that's a big fucking issue on its own. But overall, like, I think it works really well, and the test that he goes through really shows him that. But I'm gonna go on to the lung trap, the sort of rib crusher lung trap. Look, I love this trap. It's very tense, very suspenseful and atmospheric. The lack of music, and all you get is the sound effects of the cogs and wheels turning to then crush them little by little, and when they take a breath. It's so suspenseful, and I love the tone they went for with this sequence. But unfortunately, what would happen if, what's his name? Is it Randy? I always get it mixed up. Hank or Randy, whatever the fuck. I think it's Hank. What if he survived? What if he survived? What would have happened to all the other tests? It makes no sense. And not only that, him being in there because he's a smoker. Come on, it's a life choice. Come the fuck on. Like, I'm gonna put it as C for that. I love everything else, but Hank being in there, just, yeah, no, thanks. It makes no fucking sense, and it's dumb. It goes against everything Jigsaw's morals stand for. Next up, we have the barbed wire hanging trap. This is great. I love the way that this scene is directed because it makes you believe he's going to save the other guy who has more, you know, is better in health, but has less family. And the way that it's intercutting, making it look like he's going to let go of Addie and everything, but then he decides to save her because she might not be, you know, as young of age, might have more health issues, but she has more to live for. I love the way that it's making him realize and grow as a character, and that's what these traps do so well. There is a reason to teach him in regards to the policies he set in place with his company. I think this is once again a very tense trap, and you see the strain that is on Easton and how much he's regretting his decisions with his company already. I'm going to put this at a B. I'm going to put it at a B. I think it's a very strong trap. It's not great, but it works well for what the story and the narrative is trying to provide for the character of William Easton. Now we have the boiler room trap. I actually don't like this trap as much. I love the pain. I love the simple aesthetic behind it. But there is an easy way to survive this, and that's just to use the buzzsaw to cut off the contraption. But, you know, the whole swinging sort of thing, and Easton, yeah, the whole boiler part of it is really good, but it's that ending part. I think the kill is great and everything, and it works so well, and the way she falls down and smack, bang, ricochet, ping-pongs over the boiler and everything, hits the floor is great. But, you know, once again, it's just like, what if William died? What if William died? What would happen with the following tests? It just, once again, is one of those tests that doesn't entirely make sense. So once again, I'm going to put this at a solid C. Now we go on to the carousel. The carousel is one of my favorite traps in the entire series. This is the whole thing of showing that the dog pit and everything, only 1/3 of people get coverage with Umbrella Health. And with that, only 1/3 can make it off the carousel, 2 of 6 members. And William Easton has to press this button while sacrificing and inflicting pain on himself in the process. He determines who is the most worthy to survive and who has more to live for, even if they are greater in health or not. You know, the survival instinct, the missing piece of the human spirit. The survival instinct. Like, it really shows that, and it shows how much William has grown as a character because he no longer wants to make this choice, and the film and this trap brilliantly convey that through the performance of the actor who played William Easton. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but it's so great. This is one of the more iconic traps in the series, and I'm gonna easily put the carousel up at an A. It's one of my favorite traps in the entire series, the best of Saw 6, and one of my favorites. It's easily my top 10. Now we have the acid room. Roderick Heffley's kind of a dick. I call him Roderick Heffley because I mainly know him from Diary of a Wimpy Kid growing up. Little did we know before he was in Diary of a Wimpy Kid as Roderick Heffley, he was in Saw as this dweeby little angsty little bitch. And, you know, William Easton's death is amazing. His kill is fucking phenomenal and gory as shit. But why was this family singled out? Why were they singled out of everyone that he fucking denied coverage? Why were they in it? Why was his sister in it? I don't know. I think it's cool and everything. It just doesn't kind of make sense in hindsight. So I'm gonna put it at a I'm gonna put it down here at a C. Once again, like, there's no reason for it. It's kind of just there. It's there. It has a memorable kill, but that's about all that the trap provides as a whole. Now we have the reverse BearTrap 2.0. I think this is really cool and John's will, but once again, Hoffman isn't really given a chance to survive. And he's kind of just been sentenced to death. But I think the way he survives cutting open his mouth is really, really inventive and really, really clever. I'm going to put this at a B, just because it's too similar to a trap that we've seen before, and I think the design of the original is way fucking better. The public execution trap from Saw 3D. We're into the shit now. Saw 3D. Public execution trap. If you want more thoughts, go check out my top 10 worst video. This trap, whatever its name is. I don't remember what it's called, actually. But the dream sequence. It's not real. Yeah. Now we have the horsepower trap with Chester Bennington. May he rest in peace. Fucking love Linkin Park. I love Chester Bennington. What a tragedy. This is really cool. And, you know, basically racist Nazis. How fucking brilliant. And they are all given a chance to survive. And it's all on, you know, Evan, who has to pull this lever, rip away the glue. It's a brutal fucking sequence that I absolutely love. It's very gory. I can't show any of it when I post my sister's reaction to Saw 3, unfortunately, because copyright and community guidelines. But I'd put it at a solid B. I put it at a solid B. I know I'm rapid firing through these rankings now because I'm so fucking tired. It's so early and I've been recording for literally an hour now. Now we're on to this fucking thing, the lawnmower trap. Look, how do they get up there? It makes no sense. How did they get up there and how does she get down? You know, I mentioned it's a visual eyesore. Fuck off. Bobby Dagum's test. You're going down on a D too. Bobby Dagum's test. Holy fucking Christ. I made a book pretending to be a Jigsaw victim. Cool. You don't do anything to not appreciate your life, though. You're kind of just doing something for publicity. Isn't that just kind of journalism? Isn't that just kind of journalism? Only making the media see what you want them to see to make a headline, to get clicks or stuff published and make money. Kind of what Bobby did. In other words, most journalists these days would be fucking put into a jigsaw trap. So he's being tested kind of for no reason, and his test kind of sucks. The suspended cage trap. Once again, what would happen if he landed on the spikes? What would happen if he just died right then and there? It's kind of stupid. It's all circumstantial, left down to the chance that he's kind of a ninja to swing over the spikes. So, again, I can't hate it too much. I can't. It's cool design. But overall, it just kind of serves as nothingness. Now we talk about the silent circle. I fucking love the silent circle. This is an intense, suspenseful sequence that brings it back to like the lack of music and everything until he's like starting to rip it out. The gore, the violence, the pain that she would be experiencing, the psychological aspect behind it. It's a perfect trap in my opinion. It's fucking perfect. Yeah, there's stuff inside, there'd be issues medically that can be treated and everything. But, man, I love this trap. I think it's so fucking brilliant. The element of not being able to make a noise makes it all the more tense. And I just think it's brilliant. I'm going to... A lot of you might not agree with me, but it's one of my favorite traps out of the entire Saw series. I'm putting the Silent Circle up at an S rank. Holy fuck, who'd have known that Saw 3D has an S rank trap? I wouldn't have fucking thought. Next up, we have, whatever this thing is. The piercing wheel, I'm gonna call it. The piercing wheel. Yes. Bobby has to lift up this thing for an electrical circuit to stop the trap from moving and everything, while also digging in like these little blades into his ribs. It's fine. It's fine. She's just his publicist or lawyer or... Who was she? I watched this movie again just the other day to record my sister's reaction, by the way, coming soon. But I don't remember who she was. I don't know, the gore is fine, I guess. It looks really goofy and silly, and it's very loud and obnoxious. I don't know, I'm just gonna put it at a C. I don't know. The hanging trap. How fucking lame. Like, there's a psychological aspect of not being able to see, and you have to walk over these beams, sure. But Bobby could have just been like, sit the fuck still. He focuses on grabbing the key, moved the planks and everything himself to get over. You know, there's an entire aspect that's just kind of illogical about this trap. And it's very fucking disappointing and very underwhelming. I'm going to put it down at a D. I don't like it at all. I think it's just such an underwhelming trap. The teeth combination, like, it's fine having to rip out your own teeth. How did he put those in there perfectly, though? How did he engrave those numbers onto his teeth so perfectly? I don't know. Having to rip out his teeth too. Like, what if he didn't want to rip out his teeth? His wife Joyce would have just died. Granted, we're going to talk about that in a fucking second. I'm just going to put, once again, the teeth combination at a D. I don't like the traps in Saw 3D. They kind of fucking suck. The Brazen Bull. That should explain my feelings, so not even going to talk about it. The sentry gun trap, once again, just an execution for that dickhead who is in Final Destination, who's kind of a pervy asshole in this movie. And same thing with the cyanide trap. Like, it's just people being gassed with cyanide. Next up, we have Jigsaw. We have Edgar Munson's test, which was essentially just him running onto a rooftop and starting the game, while also getting the attention of Detective Halloran just to buy time for the specific time on the clock that you see, the big clock to start the test and everything, which wasn't even really the test. It's... Jigsaw's a fucking mess of a movie, in my opinion, narratively speaking. It doesn't make sense in hindsight, but overall, I'm gonna put it at a C. It's kind of just there. It's kind of just there, but isn't really all that detrimental to the narrative. It kind of makes no sense. It's kind of there as like a bait and switch sort of situation till the twist. And then you look at the movie again and you realize, oh, it makes no fucking sense. But overall, it's like, you know, all these other ones here. They're kind of the ones that are there, not very consequential, make no fucking sense, but it's just a guy. The Buckethead trap, one of the most unique traps in the entire series, actually. I think the Buckethead trap is kind of cool. I think that the entire aspect of having to sacrifice a bit of blood for it to come off and everything, and then being pulled forward, it's a visually satisfying trap, and I think the Spierig brothers did a great job directing this scene, and the rest of the movie, it's a visually great movie. A little off-kilter for a Saw film in regards to its tone and its look, visually and aesthetically speaking. But overall, the Buckethead trap, I'm going to put it at a B. I think it's just fine. I think it's a cool trap. It's unique as shit, but overall inconsequential. But at the same time, that whole unique aspect behind it and how it looks really brings it up for me. Next, we have the, I don't know, the cog chain trap. I'm going to call it that. The one where you then have the girl who has to have the needle figure out, you know, $3.51 with the needles. I like this trap a lot because it's like a whole psychological aspect, realizing what you did when you were, you know, a criminal, realizing what you did wrong, how much is your life worth, and that's like, you know, the one that she has to inject, and that will release them as well. But then, holy fuck, what's his name? The guy who caused the death of his friends in the car crash. Jigsaw has a lot of forgettable characters, need I mention. But, you know, this is a cool trap. Once again, just like the Buckethead trap, it's unique. It's inconsequential. A character dies in a very brutal fashion with some great practical effects, by the way. But overall, it's a fine trap. It's fine. Unfortunately, very forgettable, just like the rest of the traps in Jigsaw. But it's cool. It's cool. It just kind of serves its purpose. So for that reason, I'm actually going to move it down to a C. Next up, we have the leg wire trap. Fuck off the leg wire trap. This is just out of chance. Jigsaw's a fucking prophet. He kind of just like, oh, the guy's going to step here and his leg's going to go through. And now you can grab that tape, by the way, and for the next trap to work, you have to pull the lever to cut off your leg to make them look like CG sushi rolls. It's dumb. It makes no sense as to how it even works. And it's just there because Jigsaw's a fucking prophet. He can predict the future. So I'm going to put this at a solid D because it just makes no sense as to how it works and how it even happened. The silo. How did Saw become this dumb? Saw's always been dumb and cheesy and fun, but a grain silo with all these blades falling out to try and hit them. Yeah, it's cool in concept, and when I saw the trailer, I was like, holy shit, that looks dope. Then watching the scene, how it has to rely on another character, and then it's just like they're gonna die or, you know, sink. It's kind of just a forgettable trap that I'm like, it's kind of stupid. So for that, I'm gonna probably put it at like a C. I don't know. These ones are kind of just like, I don't know where I'd put them. They really have no purpose. They kind of inconsequential and just kind of dumb. And I have problems, not too many, but not great positives either. They're kind of just there, the C rank ones. Then we have the spiral trap. The spiral trap, the grinder trap, the motor trap, the engine trap, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The brake. The brake handle trap. I think visually speaking, this trap is great for the most part. What really brings it down is that really awful CG kill at the end. And I don't understand the decision to do that, because they could have just used a practical miniature to make this work in regards to practical gore, up the frame rate and slowed it down like what they did with the White House explosion with Independence Day, which was a lower budget again. So overall, it's not a bad trap. I think it's just fine. But overall, once again, it's one of those traps I kind of just don't remember. And that's a big problem with Jigsaw. It's a forgettable movie. So once again, I'm going to put that down at a C. Next up, we have the reverse shotgun. I'm going to call it the reverse shotgun because it's like, here's your key to freedom. And it's just like, how perfect of a riddle Jigsaw gave them. How amazing it is that the key to freedom was in the shotgun shells, and it was just like this riddle, the key there and the answer was right there, that the shotgun shell contained their key to freedom. And by Anna going to shoot whatever the fuck his name was, Matthew, Damon, what was his name? Matt was the other guy who died in the spiral trap, wasn't he? Let me look at the characters. No, it's Mitch. Never mind. That was the other guy who died in the spiral trap. The guy I'm talking about is Ryan. Ryan, that guy no one remembers. But when she shoots Ryan and then he realizes that he's basically left for dead now while bleeding from his stomach, he's either going to die of starvation or blood loss. What a horrible way to go. I think that the riddle really helps this trap, otherwise it would be very bland and forgettable. But it's the one that I always remember because of its uniqueness and the riddle, and it goes back to the simplicity of Saw. So I'm going to put this up at a solid B. I think that the reverse shotgun is really cool. No need for me to explain the laser collar trap. The CG kill, the fact that this basically turns, you know, Saw into a sci-fi film and futuristic. Fuck right off, Jigsaw. Just fuck off. Now we get to Spiral, the new one. I like all the traps in this movie. I genuinely do. Aside from two of them. The train trap. I think that this is such an amazing psychological trap, racing against the clock, having to rip out your tongue. There are ways around it, as I explained in my How to Beat video, where you can like saw the tongue off with the razor wire and everything. And then the train hitting him looked really cool, and the whole race against the clock situation. I think that this is a terrifying trap, that it is brutal and violent and honestly really hard to look at on your first viewing. Like when I saw it the first time when they used this trap as a marketing technique, really, really awesome trap. I'm going to put this up at a B. The finger trap. I don't care what any of you fucking say. The finger trap with Fitch was fucking brilliant. I love the behind the scenes images and footage of this trap showing the practicality behind it. Did you guys see it? I don't know if I'll be able to find an image, but it was like a practical hand molded onto Richard Zeppieri's actual hands, where he had to fold his hands under like this, and then he had this practical hand on top and everything molded to his skin, which ripped away the fingers and everything. Oh, it's so clever. It's so fucking clever. Major props to the production and makeup artists. So fucking cool. I think the trap is so unique. It's traumatizing. It's fucking horrifying to witness. A phobia of mine is anything involving fingers and toes. That got to me. I watched this for the first time going, ooh, ooh, ew. When I saw this at my press screening in theaters, I love the finger trap. It's haunting. It's haunting. And it goes back to simplicity once again. I don't care what anyone says. The finger trap's an S rank. The finger trap's an S rank. Fuck all of you who disagree. I'm kidding. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. The wax trap. Well, very improbable, and it's kind of just because Angie's a dumbass and didn't bring her phone. She got captured. I think that this is a psychologically traumatizing trap. I still think that's a really strong psychological trap that works for the most part really, really well. It's the one that I tend to forget the most out of Spiral, unfortunately. But at the same time, it still works really well. It's still very strong. I'm going to put it at... I'm going to put it at a B. I'm going to put it at a B. One of the traps I really don't like in this movie, unfortunately, is Zeke Banks' test. Why? Because he kind of just had a bobby pin there anyway. What's the point of him being, you know, chained up? You could just have him wake up. Just have him wake up like every other, you know, Saw movie where they wake up on their test or whatever, aside from like William Easton where he has the test, or Jeff inside the blah, blah, blah. Like... they have a test and everything where they have to sacrifice something or get something. In this, he just kind of finds a bobby pin that was conveniently left there on purpose, it seems, for him to survive. What would happen if he didn't survive? Or what if he did cut off his hand? Spoiler alert, did William really think about this? Did William really think about this? No, he didn't. In all honesty, I don't like this one that much. I'm gonna put it down at a D. Sorry, Zeke. I love you, Chris Rock, in this movie, and I love you as Zeke. But unfortunately, your test wasn't really all that special. The grinder trap with Pete. Oh man, I love this trap. The practical effects, the mix of practical CG and rubber glass and everything is amazing. The practical violence and gore, with Zeke having to find a way to unlock it, figuring out the riddle of throwing the key in the trash and everything, and then earlier sort of red herrings to, you know, the glass in the bottle can kill you. It's amazing. I think it's really, really well done, and how it leads up to it as well. The sort of metaphorical nature of Pete becoming an alcoholic after Zeke's, you know, reported him as a dirty cop and everything. Everything about this trap works so well for the characters, their relationship, how it builds up over time throughout the film. It's brilliant. I'm going to honestly put the glass trap, once again, at a B. I don't think any of the spiral traps besides the finger trap deserve to be above a B. I kind of want to put them at an A, but I'm not going to. But I think they work really well. And, you know, Chief Banks, you know, Marcus Banks, Samuel L. Jackson's test, it's fine, just the drain the blood. It's a little underwhelming, but the psychological aspect behind it is really, really traumatizing to me. And that's where I think it shines. But overall, it's kind of stupid when he has, like, the little gun-looking thing come out of his wrist, and he's kind of pulled up. Well, metaphorically speaking, it works really, really well. It's still really fucking stupid looking. So overall, I'm just going to put this one at a C. It is the one I tend to forget the most, aside from, you know, Zeke's. But there we have it, guys. That is my ranking and a tier list for all the traps in Saw. From Saw all the way through to Spiral. How many traps is this? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait. No, I didn't count that right. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. 77 fucking traps. Holy fucking Christ. There are so many traps. Oh my god, I don't know if I ever want to do a ranking like this ever again. This took way too long. I've been recording for an hour and 25 fucking minutes. This is going to be a long video. But guys, I know that you guys were looking for this for so long, and I thank you all so much for your patience for this video to eventually be recorded and come out. I finally did it. I finally fucking did it. Thank you guys so much for your never-ending support. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's really long, but I hope you guys all stuck around to the end. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, do be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and do be sure to also click that notification bell button for the reason that you will be notified of when new videos are up every single week, so you don't miss an upload and a new video I am posting, because I pour a lot of heart and effort and energy into these videos. Videos these days, especially the reaction ones, take roughly 25 to 30 hours plus to edit, and it's a lot of fucking work. So guys, I thank you all so much for your never-ending support, love, and appreciation. It really means a lot to me. Thank you all so much for joining, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.